Hi everyone, I'm Debbie Roberts, owner and financial advisor at Property Apprentice. Join us today for the Week in Review, where I talk about current events for the everyday investor and home buyer. Our topics for this week: topic number one from Oneroof on the 16th of March. Oneroof's Need to Know: New Zealand's most expensive and cheapest streets revealed. Topic number two from Stuff on the 19th of March: How to cut 10 years off your mortgage and pay less interest. Topic number three from the New Zealand Herald on the 20th of March: Rate Wars puts long-term mortgage fixing back in the frame. Topic number four from Stuff on the 20th of March: Why experts say your KiwiSaver contribution should be a minimum of 4%. And topic number five from RNZ on the 20th of March: Here's what your credit score might stop you doing. So first up for this week in review from Oneroof on the 16th of March. Oneroof's Need to Know: New Zealand's most expensive and cheapest streets revealed. Certain streets carry a level of prestige that transcends real estate prices. In many towns, a single address symbolises success regardless of financial realities. In New Zealand, Auckland's Victoria Ave in Remuera has long been recognised as a top-tier location, with locals tending to call it Vicky Ave, despite its mix of stately homes and more modest properties. Ray White's latest market analysis reveals that Victoria Ave has surpassed Arnie Crescent and Marine Parade in Herne Bay to become the country's most expensive street. Over the past 3 years, its median property value has reached $6.65 million. According to Ray White's senior data analysis, Atom Go Tian, the research highlights Auckland's dominance in the luxury market, with Victoria Avenue's median price sitting at more than 4 times that of Hamilton's most expensive street, which is Roy Hilton Drive at $1.58 million. At the other end of the spectrum, Murupara in the Bay of Plenty has the country's most affordable street, Oregon Drive, with a median value of just $183,000. Ojai in Southland follows closely behind, with Birchwood Road and Hastings Street valued at $197,000 and $199,000 respectively. These lower priced areas tend to be in regional towns with declining industries, limited economic opportunities, and geographic isolation, factors that contrast sharply with the premium values of Auckland's elite streets. On the broader market, Mackie noted that while sales volumes are recovering from recent lows, supply remains high, reducing the likelihood of significant price increases. Well-marketed properties can still command premiums, but buyers currently have ample choices, and a supply shortage is not expected in the near term. Topic number two from Stuff on the 19th of March: How to cut 10 years off your mortgage and pay less interest. Mortgage rates are falling, but sticking to higher repayments could save you years and hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest. With the official cash rate cuts filtering through, 81% of borrowers now have mortgages fixed for less than a year, according to Kiwibank chief economist Jared Kerr. Many will take advantage of lower rates and smaller repayments when refixing, but keeping payments steady, even when banks allow reductions, can yield massive long-term benefits. Most lenders permit extra repayments without penalties, often up to $1,000 a month. This flexibility can significantly cut interest costs and loan duration. Consider a $500,000 mortgage at a floating rate of 7.04%. Over 30 years, you'd pay $768 per week and a staggering $701,595 in interest. With banks now offering 2-year fixed rates at 4.99%, switching would reduce your payments to $617 a week and total interest to $463,658. That's already a big improvement, but maintaining the original $768 weekly payment could be a game changer. By keeping payments at $768 while fixing at 4.99, you'd clear your mortgage in 19 years and 7 months. That's 10 years faster, while slashing interest costs by $418,274. For those preferring longer-term certainty, fixing for 3 years at 5.29% would set payments at $638 a week over 30 years, with $497,344 in interest. But sticking to $768 a week payments would still see the loan repaid in 20 years and 5 months, saving nearly $180,000 in interest compared to the floating rate. Lower mortgage rates present an opportunity not just to reduce payments, but to build financial freedom faster. By keeping payments steady despite falling rates, homeowners can cut years off their loans and save a fortune in interest. And my advice is, and has always been, make sure whenever you're looking at refixing a mortgage, talk to your mortgage advisor and get financial advice around that. They can really help you plan how to pay off your mortgage as quickly as possible without tapping out all your cash flow. If you'd like to learn more about finance and investing in property, join me at one of our free events called How to Succeed with Property Investing. I'll discuss strategies for successful investing from my perspective as an experienced property investor and a financial advisor, and these events are all available free and live online. Check out propertyapprentice.co.nz for upcoming dates and register today. We don't sell property, so it's all about increasing your knowledge to reduce your risk. If you've already been to one of our free events and you'd like to find out more about how we could help you to reach your financial goals, you can also book a no obligation phone call or meeting with my husband, Paul Roberts, via the website. Topic number 3 for this week in review from the New Zealand Herald on the 20th of March, rate wars puts long-term mortgage fixing back in the frame. Floating and short-term mortgage rates remain the preferred choice for homeowners, but experts anticipate a shift as interest rates near their lowest point. CoreLogic New Zealand chief property economist Kelvin Davidson noted that competition among lenders, or rate wars, could significantly impact borrowing behaviour. According to CoreLogic New Zealand's March housing chart pack, Reserve Bank data showed that in January, 90% of borrowers opted for floating or short-term fixed rates, and by short-term they mean 6 to 12 months. But currently about 71% of existing mortgages by value are on fixed rates soon to be repriced, while another 12% remain on floating rates. Over the past few years, repricing generally led to higher mortgage rates, but Davidson indicated that this trend is reversing. With lenders offering lower fixed rates for 2 and 3 year terms, he expects borrowers to start shifting away from short-term fixes. Major banks are currently offering 2-year fixed rates at 4.99%. Squirrel founder John Bolton previously stated that rates don't have much room to fall further. He estimated that they'd stabilise between 4.5% and 5%, with 6-month and 1-year rates dipping below 5% by June. However, longer-term fixed rates are unlikely to change significantly. Bolton emphasised that a 4.99% rate for a 2 or 3 year fix remains an attractive option, and many clients are choosing these terms. The Reserve Bank's official cash rate, the OCR projections, suggest 25 basis point cuts in both April and May, which would bring the rate down to 3.25%. Since July last year, the OCR has already been reduced by 175 basis points from 5.5%. Davidson predicted that 2025 will bring a gradual recovery in the property market, with national property values potentially increasing by around 5% this year. However, he noted that a rapid shift in market power from buyers to sellers is unlikely. Listing volumes are currently at their highest for this time of year since at least 2018, and that gives buyers more negotiation leverage. For investors, lower mortgage rates will make property purchases more feasible, as they have required substantial financial top-ups in recent years, unless you negotiated a really good price. Topic number 4 from Stuff on the 20th of March, why experts say that your KiwiSaver contribution should be a minimum of 4%. Experts warn that New Zealand's current approach to retirement savings is unsustainable. The Retirement Commission is advocating for an increase in both employee and employer minimum KiwiSaver contributions from 3% to 4%. Commission policy lead, Dr. Michelle Ryers, cited modelling that indicates the current 3% contribution rate leads to funds depleting relatively quickly. Raising it to 4% would extend savings by 20 to 30%, allowing median earners to maintain their standard of living for 2 to 3 decades in retirement. She emphasised that even a small increase in contributions would significantly improve long-term financial security. When KiwiSaver was introduced in 2007, the intended contribution rates were 4% from both employees and employers, along with a $1,000 government contribution. These were reduced in 2009 to 3% and about $500 respectively. The gender gap in retirement savings remains a concern. A recent report from the Commission found that women on average have 25% less in their KiwiSaver accounts than men. That's approximately $20,000 less by retirement age. Cora Wealth Managing Director Rupert Kalian supported increasing the default member contribution, arguing that the current retirement system is financially unsustainable. He pointed out that superannuation costs are rising by $2 billion annually, and that now exceeds spending on education. Kalian suggested means testing as a potential solution, but stressed that individuals must save enough to sustain themselves in retirement. He also noted that expecting people in physically demanding jobs to work beyond the age of 65 is unrealistic. Fisher Fund's KiwiSaver General Manager David Boyle expressed support for increasing the contribution rates, aligning with the Retirement Commission's recommendation of a 4% default rate. Opposition leader Chris Hipkins described KiwiSaver as a strong system, but suggested New Zealand should follow Australia's approach of gradually increasing contributions to a 10% per year. Good grief, how are people going to afford to pay for food? He argued that steadily raising saving rates over time would enhance financial security in retirement, which is fine for people that could afford to pay those 13% contributions per year, but crying out loud, there's a lot of low-income families that would tip them over the edge. However, Ryers cautioned that higher contribution rates may not always lead to better overall outcomes, particularly for lower income earners, as I was just saying. She highlighted the trade-off between saving for retirement and maintaining a reasonable standard of living before retirement. Unlike other countries with higher contribution rates, New Zealand's universal pension, the New Zealand superannuation, provides a crucial safety net, allowing for lower contributions to KiwiSaver while still supporting retirees. My opinion on this is that it really does depend on the individual. For some people, especially those on high incomes, 3% contributions could be more than enough to help fund your retirement. For others who are investing in property, for example, you've got another vehicle to help create choice in retirement. And so it's not all about KiwiSaver, but as a general rule, I think it would be a good idea to increase your contributions to 4% if you're in a position that you can afford to do that, and if it's not going to impact your lifestyle too much, and if you've got no intention of investing outside of KiwiSaver, you definitely need to invest for your future. Topic number 5 from RNZ on the 20th of March. Here's what your credit score might stop you from doing. Credit scores often come up in conversations. Who's got a good one, who doesn't, and how you can improve it. But why does it really matter? A credit score is a number that reflects how likely someone is to repay borrowed money or meet ongoing financial obligations like phone or power bills. In New Zealand, 3 credit reporting agencies determine scores. And while the criteria vary slightly, a higher score generally makes someone a more attractive borrower. Scores improve when debts and bills are paid on time, thanks to New Zealand's comprehensive credit reporting system, which tracks both positive and negative payment history. In some countries, credit scores significantly impact loan costs due to risk-based pricing. While this effect is less pronounced in New Zealand, Centric's Chief Operating Officer Monica Lacey explained that a lower score could still limit borrowing options. Banks prefer low-risk customers with high credit scores, meaning those with lower scores may need to seek loans from second-tier lenders who often charge higher interest rates, often making those loans unaffordable or unviable. This is particularly evident in the mortgage market, where mainstream banks offer lower rates, while lenders like Avanti or Pepper typically charge more for borrowers with weaker credit. Utility providers sometimes hesitate to offer accounts to customers with poor credit. In such cases, individuals may need to opt for prepaid power plans, which can be more expensive and include additional fees. Some employers require credit checks for job applicants, but Lacey noted that this should only apply to roles involving financial responsibilities. For instance, a financial controller might be subject to a credit check while a warehouse worker or a bus driver might not. Landlords may also request credit checks as part of tenancy applications, though policies vary. Auckland Property Investors Association General Manager Serena Gibbon recommended screening shortlisted tenants based on merit. While credit history remains a factor, a less than perfect score is no longer a deal breaker in areas with rental oversupply. Many landlords now consider applicants with moderate credit if they demonstrate strong qualifications in other areas. Gibbon advised tenants to be upfront about their credit history when applying for a rental. Transparency about past financial issues and efforts to improve can make landlords more willing to offer a lease. Lacey emphasised that a better credit score opens doors to safer credit options and lower interest rates. Those with very low scores often end up with third-tier lenders, where higher interest rates make borrowing more expensive, and that can be a vicious downward spiral. Many people with poor credit are already facing financial hardship due to job loss or other challenges, and high-cost loans can trap them in that cycle of debt. Taking steps to improve credit, such as making timely payments and managing debts responsibly, can lead to better financial opportunities and lower borrowing costs in the long run. So if you've got an issue on your credit check, if you're applying for a mortgage, you can talk to your mortgage advisor about that and put a plan in place on how to work through that to get to a point where you're bank ready to apply for a mortgage, because it might not be forever. If you want to take control of your financial future, your credit score can impact everything from loan approvals to rental applications, and understanding how to improve it can open doors to better opportunities. Join me at one of our free events called How to Succeed with Property Investing, and these are available online and live, so you can gain valuable insights and strategies. You can ask questions, and these are all tailored to today's market conditions. Whether you're an experienced investor or just getting started, this free session that I run will equip you with the key tools and insights to make confident, informed decisions. Don't miss out. Register today and join me to take the next step towards achieving your financial success. In our free events, I'll also tell you more about how we help our clients to achieve their investing goals at Property Apprentice. So if you're interested in finding out more about what we do, go to propertyapprentice.co.nz today and sign up for one of those free events. If you've already been to one and you'd like to find out more about how we can help you on your journey as a client, book a no-obligation phone call or meeting with my husband, Paul Roberts, through our website. That's propertyapprentice.co.nz. Thanks for listening.